Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to look at how to create your own custom user snippets in VS Code. So if you don't know, code snippets are a really nice way to, quickly act as a shortcut for writing code. For example, if you've worked with React before, there are extensions where you can install snippets which give you handy pieces of code that you can write up quickly, like a functional component. But it's good to know that you can also create your own user snippets for yourself. So how do you do this? One way to open up the user snippets, you can open up the cogwheel down here in the bottom left. You just click this and you'll see user snippets here. You can also use the shortcut in Windows is Control-Shift-P, and you just type in user snippets and you'll find this one here. And another way is that for Macs, I would assume it's for Command-Shift-P, but I'm not sure about that. So it's just to open up the console right here to look at all your extensions and options here. So if you open up the user snippets here, you will see here that there are multiple languages that you can create snippets for. So there's JavaScript, there's JavaScript React here, and there's also JavaScript here, there's CSS here, there's Go, HTML. So there's a lot of languages that you can create it for. But in this video, we're just going to look at JavaScript snippets. So let's jump into an example right now. And if we open up the snippets file for the JavaScripts, we will do Control-Shift-P and look up user snippets. We find it here and look up JavaScripts, and it would be this one. So once you have this file open, you can see for my one, there are already a couple of snippets that are predefined. So yours might have that as well. But let's look at a simple one. We can see that there's a console log here, which has a prefix, a body, and a description. So essentially, if we go back here, for the main usage, the prefix is really just the shortcut name that you want to set that triggers the snippet. And you can use multiple names here as well. So for example, this one is called CL. And if we just go to a test JavaScript file and we type in CL, so this is the snippet right here. And if we enter it or click it, you'll see that it just does a console log for us. And we can just console log anything we want, like a true. So that's very helpful there. And to do multiple names for the prefix, what you can do is really just put an array here. So if I put an array and I do CL for one of them, and I can do, I'm just going to do clog. And if I go back to the test now, so I can type in CL again, that's all good. But I can also type in clog here. And it also shows me the same snippet right here. So that's the basics of using prefix right here. And there's also a description, which is pretty much just the snippet description that you want to have. Pretty simple there. So now let's move into the main part of using user snippets, which is the body syntax right here. So this body content here is where we define the code that will be generated when we run the shortcut snippet here. So for this one, we have the console.log and this $ and 1. So there are a couple of different syntaxes that you should know about. And we'll go through the first one here, which is tab stops. And the syntax here is the $ and a number. So you can do $1, $2, and $3. So what this does is it essentially moves the cursor into the snippet based on the tab stop number. And when you press the tab key, it will move the cursor to the next spot where the next tab stop number is. So to make this more clear, let's run an example here. So you can see here that right now we have one console log and a $sign and the first tab stop here. But let's change this to make it two more console logs right here. Just like this. So we have a console log 1, 2, and 3. So first tab stop, second tab stop, and third tab stop. So if we try to run this right now, and we do CL, so you see the cursor here is at the first position of the tab stop, and we press tab now, it moves to the second one, and if we press it again, it moves to the third one. So if we change these numbers around to make it 3 and a 2, and we run this again with CL, so if we press tab now, it will go from the first one here to the third one and to the second one in the middle. So that's the basics of using the tab stop here. Now the next thing you can do is use placeholders. So this is the same as a tab stop, but what you can do is set a default value as well. So if we go back here now, we can change this to use the same syntax here. So for example, I'll just grab this here and we replace this. We can have a default for the first one. So let's run this now. And if we do CL here, you can see there's a default value already set for us. So if we don't enter anything here and we just press tab, it will just go to the next one as normal and next one as normal and finish. So it lets us define default values if we want to, not set anything in the placeholder or in the tab stop. So moving on to the next three syntax that we have, we can do nesting within one another. So if we just grab this here, and we will replace this one here, the default placeholder, with a nested one. And we'll make this as the third placeholder. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we run this now, you can see that we get both placeholders here, but the first tab stop covers the whole thing. So if I want to replace this one, it will replace the whole thing, and the second nested one will be gone. But if I were to do this again, and I will leave the first tab stop and press tab, it goes to the nested tab stop here. So, and it goes to the next one and the next one. So it's important to keep that in mind if you do want to do nested placeholders there. But you can if you want to. So moving on to the next one. This one where we can do a drop-down list for options. And this is one of the ones I find most useful and it's pretty cool. So the syntax here is that same as the other ones, you put the first tab stop, but unlike the default values with the colon and the default value here, you can also use the pipe symbols right here, and inside these you can define your options here. So for this example, I have 1, 2, and 3. If I just copy this, and I will copy that over here. So for the first one, I want to have these options, and for the second one and the third tab stop. So if I run this now, you can see that I automatically get these options right here. So if I just click on one of them, let's say number 2, that gets filled right here. So if I do number 2, tab stop, number 3, and you can also do multiple of these. So if I just replace this here as well with 2, and I'll just say another, all of these. So we go 2, 3, 4. So if I run this again, I get the first one, and I'll just leave this as 1. And I press tab again. It gives me the second options that I created. So I'll go 4 for this one, and I press tab again and finish it. So that's one useful thing about user snippets. So it's really good to keep that one in mind. So for the last one, we can use variables, and these allow us to insert the values of some variables into the body of the snippet. So usually we can pretty much add in some predefined variable names that are defined for us. So there are a couple, and I'll post those in the description below with the documentation. But for one of them, for example, we can use the workspace name right here that is defined for us. So if I just copy this over here, and I can just let's just get rid of the whole array, and we'll just have a single line of code right here. And we'll just do this one right over like this, the workspace name and the default placeholder. And we won't actually do that. So we also have another one. And another one we can have is, let's say we want to use the current day name. So you have a current day name, current workspace name, and a default value right here. So this default happens only if the variable isn't set for us. So now if we run this, CL, you can see that we get user snippets and Tuesday. So that's because these variables here are predefined for us, and we can make use of them if we want to. So another advanced usage, I guess, is more of a transformation. So we can transform these variables using regex if we want to. So we just go back here. You can see that it's possible to transform values using regex. For example, we can uppercase all the characters of these variables here. But that's another topic that's very long and hard to explain. So I'll leave the documentation in the description, and you can have a look at that and check it out. So just wanted to show you a very good example of where you can use this user snippet. So I've created one for myself to start up a basic Express server JS file. So just initialize Express, do a example routes, get a port. So here I'm using options for the CRUD options right here. I can set the routes. So to run, let's run this and give a quick example. So if I just run Express server, which is my prefix. So if I press enter now, you can see here that I get an options for the HTTP verb that I want to use. So I'll choose a get, and if I press tab, I can choose a route that I want to use. So normally this will be an easy root route, so I'll just do the root here. If I go to the tab again, now I have options to choose the port that I want to use. So these are the ports that I use usually. So I'll choose 5000 here, and if I choose tab again, it'll go to the end. So this is a very useful example of how you can use your own user snippets to design your own boilerplate code. So that's all for this video. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.